parent category. And we need to add a select box somewhere here. So maybe between this input and this button. So let's do this here. Here we have our input. Here we have a button. Let's put a select box. And I will remove this name and ID. And the first default option, or maybe we shouldn't put options like this. Or maybe let's put options here. The first option will be no parent category. And let's say the value will be 0. So now we have no parent category, and the styling doesn't work here, but we can go to our global styling, and let's see, here we have input text area. Let's add select. So now it looks a little better. Let's also add it here. So select focus. Now, as you can see, this select got this margin bottom to as well. So I will go back to pages categories, and on our select, I will add class names as well. And it will be margin bottom 0. So it will have the same height here. Right, but now we need to add more options here. And here our options will be actually all the categories that we have here inside our list. So let's do, if we have categories, or maybe we can just copy paste what we have here. So let's put it here, but instead of tr, we will just put an option, and the option value will be category dot underscore ID, and here we'll put category dot name. Right, and it has been it's wrapping my code, but let's see. As you can see, we have everything here inside, and if I open this select here, we are getting those IDs, and the first has a value of 0. Maybe we can just remove to make it empty, so the value will be empty. But now we need to have this as a value as well on our select. So let's put a state here for our, we have for name. Now we need to have a state for our parent category, and set parent category, use state, and the default will be just an empty string. And when we change, we need to add here value will be parent category, and I'll put it into different line. And here I will also add on change. We grab the event and we do set parent category with event target value. Right, now let's see if this works, if I can change it. Yes. But now when I hit save with a category name here and a selected parent category here, I need to have I need to send this parent category as well. So let's see, here we have save category. Let's add parent category here as well to our endpoint, and now we need to handle it inside our API categories. So let's see here, when we do a post request, we are grabbing name. Let's also grab parent category. Yes, and let's just put it here, parent category. And of course we need to add it inside our category model. So we can just put parent category here, or maybe because we know it's a category collection, maybe we can just call it parent. So the parent will be type of, well, the type here will be special because it will be another ID. So let's do mongoose types, and here we will do object ID. And let's say it's not required. Yeah, and that should be it. Now let's go back to API categories, and because we have it as a name parent, we need to do here parent colon parent category. I put this into separate lines like this, so it will be easier to read. And now I will try to add iPhones here, iPhones, as a child category of mobiles. And if I click save, we get iPhones, but let's see how it looks inside our database. I will refresh here to see our categories. And here we have iPhones, but without any parent category. Let's see inside network here. Here we posted a new category, but inside payload we have parent category with this ID. So let's see parent category. We get the ID. We set it as parent, maybe because we needed to restart our server. So let's restart here, and I will put maybe iPhones 2 as a parent. Here I will put iPhones 2, and it will be, the parent category will be mobiles. Let's hit save, and we have iPhones 2. Now I will refresh, and let's see, here we have iPhones 2 and we have parent category. Right, so now let's print our parent category here inside our table. So let's go to pages categories, and here we have our table here. But if we just add a parent here, or maybe parent category, and we print category dot parent inside curly brackets, it will just show the ID. And the problem is we don't want to show just an ID. Instead, we want to grab the category of this ID, and we want to grab the name and display the name. So to do this, first I will go to category, our model, and here I would like to add a reference. So reference here will be actually what this ID is about, and this ID is just another category. So I will add this, and now let's go back to API categories, and here, as you can see, we are fetching all the categories, but instead of just doing find, I will also add populate, and I will add here parent, right? And now let's see if I refresh, here we are grabbing, let's see, all the categories. I'll make this a little bigger. Categories, we are fetching all the categories. We have a parent here. Let's see, parent as an ID. Maybe we need to restart the server once again to refresh the models. Now, if I refresh, as you can see, we have an error that objects are not valid React child. And this is because now inside categories, inside parent, we don't have an ID that we can print. Instead, we get an object. So let's go back to our categories. And here where we printed just parent, we cannot print it anymore because now we need to, this is an object. So let's just print a name instead. So now I will just, to be sure, I will refresh. Looks like this can be undefined because for categories that don't have a parent, this will be undefined. So I will add a question mark here just to know if we have a parent, and maybe another question mark here. So let's see, and now we can see iPhones 2 has a parent category of mobiles. So that works really nice. And now actually we can add those buttons to edit and delete categories. So we can edit this to just iPhones and maybe delete this one and delete those two. All right, so let's create here an empty column. And here in column, we will create a button with class name button primary that we created before. And the first one will be here, edit. And the second will be delete. So the delete. And here I put a div here above with a class name of flex, and I can add gap 1 between those. Maybe it will be easier to just add margin left 1, sorry, margin right 1 on this button. Yes, so we'll also have some spacing here. All right, but now when I click, for example, on this button, I would like to edit this category. And we can put it into another page, the same way we did with products. But I think because this form will be only this small, maybe we can put the data here above. So let's do this. When I click on this button, I want to put the name here and the parent category here. And that's it. And maybe I will change new category name to something else. So here on this edit button, let's say that when we click on it, on click, we will run a function called, I will put arrow function here, and we will run edit category, and I will put the ID of the category from our category that we are looping here. So it's the category that underscore ID. And that's it. Now we just need to add this function. Or maybe, you know what? Let's send the whole category. So we'll remove this. And I'll put this into separate line. Same with this. And maybe even this. Let's put it like this, so it will be easier to read. But basically, when we click on this edit button, we will run function edit category with the whole category object. So we will have all the data. So let's put this function here. That's the function edit category. We don't get the event here. We get a category object with all the data inside. And what do we want to do? First, let's maybe change this title here. So we have a new category name, but when we click on edit, we want to edit a category. So first, maybe we can put this into the state that now we are editing this category. So let's maybe put it here. I will put a state called, we can call it a category we are editing or something like this, but I want a simpler name. So I would just do edited category, and set edited category, something like this. And will be use state default, let's say will be null. Right, and now when we click on this edit here, I will set edited category to our category that we get as a param. And this way we can check if this is not empty, and we can change this title here. So here, let's put that if we have something inside, so let's do edited category. If we have something here that is kind of true, let's put a title of edit category. Otherwise, we will put back this new category name. Or maybe let's rename this one as well. To create new category. That's it. This now looks messy, but I will put those two separate lines. Maybe something like this. It will be easier to read. Now let's see if I click this edit. We have this edit category, but maybe let's add some more information here. Let's do edit category, and let's also add the category name. So let's do edit the category dot name, So now we have edit category test C. Now we should propagate the name here and the parent here. So let's do this. Here we will do set name to our category name, and we will do set parent category to just our category dot parent category, or maybe not, it's just called parent inside our database. So let's do this. Now if I click test C, it doesn't have any parent category, so that's correct. Let's see if I click iPhones 2. Well, this changed to iPhones 2, but this is still no parent category. And that's kind of wrong. Let's see, here we have set parent category, so this should work. Yeah, I know what's the problem. We have a parent here, but parent can be actually an object. Instead, we should check if we have an underscore ID here instead. And this should work now. So I will refresh. If I edit test C, we don't have any parent category, but if I edit iPhones 2, it changes to iPhones 2, and here it changes to mobiles. So now it works. But now if I click save, we will run this save category, and this save category function, it always creates a new category. So it always runs this post request, and our post request always creates, here as you can see, creates a new category. Instead, I would like to see if we have something here inside, then I should know we should update the category and not create a new one. So first I will maybe put this into to make it prettier. And now here I can check if we have edited category in the state, then I know we are inside edit mode. If we are edit mode, we don't want to run this. We want to run this only if it's not edit mode. So let's put it inside an else here. But if we are inside edit mode, let's do await Axios, and let's do put requests here to /API/categories. Yeah, and we want to send the same data, so I can just put an object like this. But to make things a little simpler, because the data here and here is the same, I can grab it here, and I can define it here above as data, and I will put it as an object here. This way I can just reuse this data here, and I can put this data here as well. Because it doesn't matter if we are updating or creating a new one, we are just grabbing information from this input and this select. Right. Now we don't have this put handler inside our categories API. We can only handle post. So now let's maybe add a method equals put, so we can also update the category. So basically we are going to do the same thing that we are doing for creating, but we want to update. So instead of create, let's put update here, update 1, because we want to update only one category, but we want to know what type of category, which one we want to update. And when we send a new name and a new parent, we don't know this. We know this, we need to have the ID of the category that we want to update. So back to categories. Here, as you can, back to categories here. Here we have the data, but we are sending only name and parent category, both to put and the post. But for put, we need also an ID that we have inside edited category. So to put ID here, I will do something like this. I will change this to ... data, and this way this will be just a copy of data. That's it. But we can also add a comma here, and we can add underscore ID to be edited category underscore ID. Yeah, this will work. But there's also, I can show you how it looks like. It looks like this. It would be just a copy of data, plus we will add a property of underscore ID to be edited category underscore ID. So we will put also the ID of the category that we clicked here or here. So we will get the data that we already fetched, the underscore ID. But there's, I guess, also easier way of adding this ID. Let's try with just data underscore ID, just edit a category underscore ID. And here we can just put back data. And I guess the result will be the same. Right, here we have test C, test C2. Maybe I will refresh and I will edit this one and I will change it to test C1. But let's go to our API categories, and here our put is exactly the same as post, but actually now we can also here grab underscore ID. And now when we have the ID of our category that we want to update, we need to put it inside our update one. So when we create, the only thing that we need to pass is an object of all the properties that we want to create a new document with. Here for update, first we want to specify an object of what do we want to update, and then the object of the data that we want to update with. So the first object will define how we can find this document inside our database, and the second param, the second object, will be the new data for this object, for this document. So we can find it by just checking that underscore ID is the underscore ID from our request, and then we just want to update both the name and the parent to be parent category. So let's check if this will work. I will just refresh just to be sure. I would edit this test C. I will add 1 here. I will try to save. And as you can see, we got test C1 here, but we are still in this edit mode of test C. And after we are done editing, after we saved a category, I would like to disable edit mode for this specific category. So here, after we updated a category, I will do set edited category back to null, so we can actually create new categories. So let's edit this one. I will add more ones, save, and now it went back to create new category. So that's good. Let's now change, for example, this one, and let's change parent category to maybe this one, test C 111. Let's see, hit save, and as you can see, it worked nice. If I refresh the page, we should get the same data, and yes, we do. So now the last part will be our delete button. So the delete button for products was a separate page, but now I think for categories we can make it a little simpler. Maybe we can just do a pop-out with confirmation, or maybe a confirmation here underneath, not as a separate page. So as you remember, if we go to products and we hit delete here, we have a separate page to confirm this deletion. Do you really want to delete? If we click no, it just goes back. If we click yes, it will delete the product and send us back to the table. For categories, we can make it simpler. If we click delete, we can have a pop-up with yes or no, or maybe pop-up here inside the table. And I think pop-up inside the table, a small are you sure will be enough. But I think it will be much prettier with like a pretty box or pop-up here that we can reuse. So that's why I'm going to open yarn package repository here, and let's search for React Sweet Alert 2. Yes, this will work. So I will just yarn add this one. Let's do yarn add this one, and it's just a prettier form of confirmation. So we need to have a state for our sweet alert. So I'm going to put it on the top, or we can actually also use this as injected. So we don't need properties. Let's see, here they are showing us properties with properties, but here we can also use it as an injection. So we can just do sval and just do sval fire, and that's it. No state, no nothing. Or actually we have here with sval, but I guess this way will be simpler. So let's do this with sval. So I will copy this part, and here on the top I will just place it. And as you can see, we need to export our function here, but we want to export with sval. So let's add this part here, and I will open parenthesis here, and I need to close another parenthesis here on the bottom. Yes, but we need to get rid of these categories. We don't need this, and instead this with sval will be a function that we are calling. So we can remove this function thing here. So we have with sval, and well, maybe to make things simpler, I can put back our categories page somewhere at the top. So let's do function categories like this, and inside I would just put all this, and so we have our function categories, and it's just our component that we were exporting before, but now we are going to use it with sval, and we are going to export it the way they do this. So here we need to put parentheses, and here we need to grab this sval thing and a reference in case we need this. And here inside we can just use our categories as component, and this should work. So now let's see. Yes, it works. We don't have any errors, but now we can use this sval to fire alerts this way. So maybe I can just pass it. So let's do sval equals sval, so we can pass it back down to our categories, and here inside the categories, our page, I can just grab it here, and let me use it when we click this delete button, and delete button is here. I put this into separate line, and now I will add on click, and I will put an arrow function here. Or maybe I will just create a delete category, and I will pass this category object to know what category we want to delete. Now I will go back to here. I'll create the function delete category, and as you remember, we pass this category object, and we have this all information here inside category, the ID and everything, and we have this sval that we can fire things with. So maybe let's first see if this will work. This hello world example. We are not deleting or anything. Let's see. If I click delete, we get this example hello world. But now we want to change some things. Here for title, let's put are you sure? Question mark. And for the text, I will put backticks. And do you want to delete and let's put here category name and question mark, and let's see. And we don't need these handles to when it opened or when closed. We just want to handle the result of this confirmation. But it shouldn't be just okay. It should be a prompt. So I guess it's just a type of confirm. So I will refresh and let's see. No, it's not confirm. Maybe it should be prompt. No, it should be confirmed. Maybe we don't need to have delete, but instead we want to have a show cancel button to true. And let's see, cancel button. We have cancel button title. Let's say it will just say cancel. And let's see, we do have button labels, more button labels. Confirm button text. Confirm button text. Let's do this one. Confirm button text. And let's put it as yes, delete with exclamation mark. This should be title, show button, cancel button text, like this. So both of cancel button text and confirm button text. Now if I hit delete, we have yes, delete and cancel. But I would like to have this yes, delete on the right side. So there is a property called reverse buttons to true. And let's see now, if I refresh and hit delete, we have yes, delete. Would be nice maybe to make this yes, delete button red or something. So let's do confirm button color. And let's put some kind of red color here. So let's maybe do D55. So it will be this red, and let's see how it looks like. I think it looks fine. So now when we click it, it will run this function then with the result. So let's just do console log and let's print this result. I guess we don't need this catch part. And I will do inspect here to see console, and I will hit delete here. Yes, delete, and as you can see, we get the result. And inside the result, we have object of is confirmed, true, is denied, false, and value true. So we will only check if it's confirmed, because if I hit cancel, we get another result with is confirmed, false. So from the result, we just need to grab is confirmed and needs to be true. So let's do if result is confirmed. And if it's confirmed, then we want to delete our category. So basically, we just need to run Axios request, and let's put it as type delete. Let's go to /API/categories, and let's put some data object here. And the only data that we need here is the ID of the category we want to delete. And we can grab it from here, from category. So let's do underscore ID equals category dot underscore ID. And that's basically it. We can do this like this, or we can grab the underscore ID from category, and we can just put it here as a param. So but the problem here, as you can see, is that we get this warning and that the delete actually doesn't have any body. So if we can send it as a body, let's see how we did this with products here. And with products, we are sending this inside the query. So let's send it as a query as well from our categories. So to send it as a query, we will just do question mark underscore ID equals, and we will just add the value underscore ID here, and that that's it. We will add a weight here, and then we need to mark the parent function here as async. And after we are done with deletion, we just want to refresh the table. And this table, we want to see that it disappeared. So we will just run this fetch categories, and that's it. Now we need to handle this endpoint inside our API categories. So let's check here. If the method is delete, then we want to grab the underscore ID from the query. So let's do const underscore ID from request query. Yes, and with this underscore ID, we just want to delete things. So let's do category, and we want to do delete one, and we just want to delete one by this underscore ID. So the first param here is just an object about how we can find it, and we want to find it by checking that underscore ID is actually underscore ID. But because those two are the same, we can just do underscore ID. This is async function, so I will do await, and after it's done, I would just do response JSON with OK, and that's it. Now I will try to make this window bigger. Let's do inspect here, network, and let's maybe try to delete iPhones. I will click delete here. Or are you sure? Do you want to delete iPhones? Maybe I should add iPhones category. Yes, delete, and it's deleted, and it refetched categories. As you can see, we don't have iPhones anymore. We just have iPhones too. So I can rename this one to iPhones, and it will be under mobiles. So that's perfect. Everything works. I can now delete this test C2. Yes, and I can delete this test 111. Yes, delete. And we have now only mobiles and iPhones, and iPhones is the child of mobiles. We can also add the Android. That will be also mobile under category. Let's hit save. Now we have Android, mobiles, iPhones, mobiles, and mobiles. So now we can create new categories, we can update existing ones, and we can delete them. So I guess we are now done with categories and products. But the last thing that we need inside products is actually to be able to assign a category here. So let's say that test 3.1 product is actually an iPhone or under mobile, so an Android phone. So now we should have a select here with to be able to select a category for this product. Right, but let's maybe start by creating a real product. So I will go to products, I will hit new product, and I want to add iPhone 14 Pro. And I will upload some images. I downloaded some iPhone images here, and I can only select one by one. So I will first upload them all. All right, and now I have all the images. I can maybe sell this iPhone for $1,200. And let's put maybe test iPhone description here, and let's hit save. So we have our iPhone 14 Pro here, and we should be able to change the position of the images. And now the only thing that we are missing here is to be able to add a category. So I think that we can put the category under this product name. So let's go to our product form, and let's see, I will make it a little bigger. And let's see, here we have photos, here we have product name. We need also a label and a select for category. So let's do label here, and it will just say category, category, and underneath we need to have a select, and the first option will be just empty value, and it will be uncategorized, in case of if the product doesn't have any category, and then it will be uncategorized. But then we need to list all the possible categories. But for now, we don't have any categories here inside our state. So we need to fetch it here as well. So let's see. Here we are definitely fetching information about this specific product. So let's see for use effect that we can reuse. Looks like we don't have any use effect here. Instead, we are passing information from the product page, edit product, to this product form. So let's see where this component is used. And it's used for new products, and for new product page, and for editing an existing product with an ID. So we can either put fetching categories for those two, or we can put it here in one place. I think it would be better to put it here in one place. That's why I will go maybe somewhere here, and I will add use effect. And as always, the first will be just an empty arrow function for now, and the second will be empty array, because we don't have any dependencies, because we want to run this function when this component mounts. Right, and what do we want to do? We want to do axios get, and we want to run /API/categories, so we can grab all the categories we have inside our database. Then we get result, and it will run this arrow function with result, and with result data. Here inside the result data we have our JSON with categories. So we need to prepare state for this. So let's do categories, set categories, use state, default will be empty. Let's say it will be just empty array. And now here we can just do set categories like this, and that's it. But now we should be able to use these categories to list them as options inside our select. So let's put let's check if we have categories. The length of the categories is bigger than 0. Then let's do and let's do categories map, and this will be a function with specific category. Let's just short this down to C, and the parentheses here, and for each category, which will be C, we will just print an option, and the value will be just c._id, and here the label will be c.name. Right, so now we have uncategorized, but we have all categories here. All right, now we are printing all the possible options here, but we don't have any state for this select. And as you can see, we have it for title, description, and so on. And for the price, so let's just put another state for our category. So let's do category and set category, use state, and default will be let's say empty string. So it will so this empty string will match our empty string here for uncategorized as default. Right, so now we can use this category here down inside our select. Let's do value equals category, and on change we will just do with event, we will just do set category, and we will grab the new value from event target value. That's it. So now we should be able to change those. Yes. But now when we hit save with, for example, iPhones, we should send it as well to our API endpoint here inside save product. So let's do this. Here we are sending the data, but we also need to add category. And the category will be, of course, just the ID of the category, because we are setting this here from our option value. We are setting it back to a category, right? So we are sending category as an ID. Now we need to handle it inside API products. So let's go to pages, API products, and both for post and put. For post we are creating, for put we are updating. Here we need to grab category, and here we need to grab category as well. And what do we want to do with category here and here? We just want to pass it along with to create a new product or to update an existing product. And that's it. So now let's see if I refresh here just to be sure, and I change this to mobiles. That's not mobiles, to iPhones. If I click save, let's check the database for products, and the latest product should be iPhone 14 with we don't have any category here. And why is that? I think it's because we forgot to add it to our product model. So let's put it here. So category, and we want to define this property to be type of ID. So let's do mongoose types object ID, and we want to add reference as well. And the reference is just category, the name of the model. And that's it. Let's now try to save it again. iPhone 14 Pro. Let's change this to iPhones. Let's save. And let's refresh our database here for products. Let's scroll down here, and we don't have any category. I guess this is because we need to restart here our environment, our app. So I will refresh here, and let's go to iPhone 14 Pro, and let's change this to iPhones, save, database, refresh, products, and for iPhone 14 Pro, now we have a category. So that is really nice. But let's open it back, and as you can see, it's still uncategorized. And it is uncategorized because if we go to pages components product form, the default will be always for category. The default will be always empty string here. Instead, we should use as we are doing with existing title that we are grabbing from the properties here. So let's grab category, and let's just rename it to existing category, or maybe we can name it assigned category. Yeah, and let's just put it as a default here for assigned category, or default, if in case this is empty or something, default will be empty string. Right. So now, as you can see, I saved and it changed this to iPhones. Let's check if something crashes for older products. No, it looks like everything just works. So now we can change categories. I can put it to Android, and if I edit, you can see it's Android. But I can put it back to iPhones as it should be. So everything now is fine. So now we are done with products. We can add the title, category. We can upload images, description, and price. And we can, of course, edit also those categories. Now, Another thing I would like to have for our products is properties. So let's see here, we have an iPhone 14 Pro, but this is a black version. And let's say it's a version with 100 gigabytes of memory. So we should be able to put this information. And we can put this information here in the description. But the thing is, if we have a properties as a separate input somewhere here, maybe, then on the front of our store, we can be able to sort and filter the products we have. So let's, for example, say that inside all the mobile phones, we will have a memory property. And then when we open a mobile phones category inside our e-commerce store, we will have a filter. Okay, how much memory do you need for your phone? Or how big the camera should be, or something like this, the screen size. Or the color. Let's say this one will be black, and you can filter depending on the color. So I think we can go to categories then. And I think properties should be assigned to categories first. So let's say that when we open mobiles, we should see filters for price, of course, like for all the products, but also like color and maybe memory and yeah, the storage, something like this, and the color. So when we edit, when we click edit here on mobiles, we can only edit the name here of the category and what is the parent category. But the thing is that I would like to add more information here, more properties to this category. Let's say that mobiles will have also properties like color and storage and stuff like this. So I think we can go now to categories inside here, categories page. Let's see. And first, let's say that we want to have those properties here underneath. So let's first move this button here also under, and we will have like properties here in between. So here we have this form for editing properties. We have this save button here. As you can see, this form is flex. So we need to create another div that will be actually flex with gap 1. So we can move the input and the select inside. So let's move this select and input. Let's put them here. And we don't need this flex and gap 1 on the form part. Now the save is underneath. We can also remove this margin bottom 0 on the input and on the select. So we will have some spacing here. And now let's see. Now between this those two inputs and the save button, I would like to have properties here in between. So here under this main div, I will put another div. And first here I will put a label that will say, let's say, properties. Yes. And under I will have a div, or maybe first we need a button to add the new property. So let's add the button with a class name button secondary, and this button will say add new property. Yeah, we need to style this button, and so let's go to our global CSS. We can style it with just the classes here in the component, but I think we can reuse this button secondary later. So let's see, we have button default. Maybe we can use this one instead of secondary. Let's use button default. Okay, and we have something like this. Maybe we can just make it smaller. So let's do padding of on the top of and the bottom of 0. This doesn't change anything. So let's do text smaller. Yeah, now the button is smaller. So I think maybe we can maybe put it under this properties. So let's put properties, and let's make this as a block. Yeah, so we have this button underneath. And now for this div, let's also add margin bottom of at least 4, I guess. So we'll have some spacing, maybe 2 will be enough. Yeah, so we have this button, add new property. It doesn't do anything. I just add that it's type of button. Otherwise, it could just hit the save on our form here, and it would submit the category. So now it's type button, so it will not submit the form. And let's see. Now we will need on click event on this button. I will just put it into separate line so it will be easier to read. But now I will add on click. Sorry, it's not here. It's not this save button. It should be this one that we need on click. So I will put it maybe like this, and this one here. Let's do on click. And on click of this add new property, we want to put a property maybe here. So to create properties, we need to have a state for them. So let's scroll up here and let's see, we have categories. So let's add also here underneath properties, and let's do set properties, use state, and it will be empty array for now. Right, now we have error because we have this empty on click part here, and we need to define a function. Let's maybe call it add property. Yeah, now we need to create this function. So maybe here under delete category, let's do function add property. Yes. So now let's see. When we click this button, we need to create the new property. We need to put a new property here inside our properties. So let's do this. We will just do set properties. And remember, this is category properties, not properties that are inside React component, just category properties like color and stuff like this. And with this, we can just grab a previous value and run an arrow function like this. And we want to return all the previous properties. So we can make a copy like this. But we will also add an object of new property. And every property will have a name, or maybe, yeah, let's call it name. And the name will be empty string, and then we will have also values, and values will be also an empty string, right? And now, if we have something inside properties, we should list it as maybe inputs here. So let's see. Here, under this button, I will put I will try to list the properties. So let's see. Let's do properties. Length is bigger than 0. Then we'll do end properties map. And for each property, we will do parentheses. And I will make it bigger so it will not wrap. And for each property, I will print a div. And inside each div will have this flex and gap, maybe 1, and inside each we will have an input for let's say property name, for example color, and another input will be for, let's say, values, comma separated. Yes, and that's it. Now let's see, if I click add new property, then we have property name, and we have values here. All right, so now we can click to add more properties, and this should work. Now we need to also be able to update them. And as you can see, the problem is here that we don't have any state for them yet. We don't have any values, and we need to add them. So values will be actually simple because we can just do value equal and property dot value. I think it was values. Yeah, values. And well, it should be here. Property values, and above should be name, property values, and above should be just a name, but I will put it also into separate lines so it will be easier to read. But the problem now will be with update function, because when we change text inside a specific input property name, we need to update properties, and we need to find in properties first which one we should update. So let's start here with property name. Let's add on change function, and well, here let's maybe add a function called update property name, or maybe let's call it better handle property name change, right? And I'll put it actually inside arrow function here, so we can pass the property as an object. But now I will put this function here, maybe somewhere at the top, as the function, and this handle property name change, and in the first param we'll have our property, right? But now if we are updating property, then we need to have also the new name, right, that we want to update this property to. So let's see, we need to pass also the new value. So from this event that we'll get here, let's also pass here event target value, right? But now the problem is that we will have the new name, and we know what is what's the property object that we want to update. So we will have the name, the old name, and the value. So let's say here we will have a test property and values like 1, 2, 3. And when we added this input, we will change it to test1. The new value, so this event target value, will be test1, and inside property we will have both the test, the old name, and the values. So we can just in this function we can just loop through all the properties, and we can find the one that has the name test. But the problem is, what if we have several properties with the same name? Then we don't know which one we should change to test1. Here we know because we see it's the first, but we don't know it inside this function. So to fix it, I will also pass the index here that we can grab. So I will put this into parentheses, and I think that the second param here that we can grab is actually index, and I'm going to pass it here as well. And now in this function, let's jump to this function, we will have different params here. We will have index, property, and new name. So let's do index, property, and new name. New name that we want to have for this property. And first I will just console log everything. So let's do index, property, and the new name. And so we can see if this works. I will open here my console, and I will edit, for example, this one, test. And let's see, we have index 2 because this is the third property. So and the new name should be just t. Right, so we can update it. We can fix it. So let's see. We will do set properties, and we can just set properties with just an array of properties here, but it's better to use the previous value. So I will do arrow function here, and inside previous value we have all the properties. So now with these properties, we will create a clone of this array here with all the properties. So let's maybe call it props. Maybe props is not correct way to call it. So I will do properties equals, and I want to do a copy of this array. So I'll just do array dot 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 previous. And now I want to do properties and of our index that we have as a param, and I want to change the name. So let's do dot name equals new name. Yes, and here I will just return properties. Yes, and now let's see if this will work. Test 1 to 3. Yes, I can add it here. I can put test 3 to 1 here, and for now it works. I can edit this input. So now we need to have the same thing for values. So I will just copy this and paste here. Handle property values change, and here I will put new values, and here of course we need to change as well values, and of course new values, and that's it. Then we can use this function for our other input. So let's do on change, and with the event we will run handle property value change with the index of this property, so 0, 1 or 2, and then we will pass the property and then the new value, the new value of this input. So let's do event here, event target value. So that should be it. Maybe I can put it into separate lines so it'll be easier to read, but then I need to put every property into separate line. So I don't know if this will help match, but yeah. Right, so now I should be able to edit those inputs as well. Yes, and they do work. So I can edit inputs, I can edit properties. I would like to add the margin bottom here on this button. So here I will do margin bottom of 2, and I want to be able to remove properties as well. So we have 2 inputs, but I will also add a small button that will have this class button default, I think it was, and it will just say remove. So we have this remove, and well, we don't have any space in between them, but this is because our inputs have margin bottom of 2, and I will remove it. Let's do class names, and let's do margin bottom of 0 here, and let's do the same thing for other input. And now for this each div, I will add margin bottom of 2, so we'll have margin bottom on the div and not on the input. Right, so now we should fix this remove button, right? So here on this button, I will put it maybe like this. I will add here on click, and it will just run a function called remove property, and we actually need only the index of this property that we want to remove. So here we will have index 0, index 1, index 2. So let's create this function here above our return. Let's do function remove property, and we get the index, and we want to run set properties. We will grab the previous values here, and inside this function let's just do new properties. It will be just a copy of previous properties, but now from these properties we want to remove the property of this index. So how we can do this? Well, the easiest way would be to just return new properties as they are. So we are returning all the properties, but here we will also add filter, and we will filter out the property that we don't want to have. So the first param here, we need to put it as a function, but first param here in this function will be the property itself, but the second will be actually a property index. So I will call it maybe let's call it property index. And here if we will return true, then this filter will give back this property to this return. Otherwise it will not. Maybe so it will be easier to understand. I will put it here, and instead I would just do here return new properties. Right, so new properties will have the copy of the previous properties, and then before returning to new properties we'll filter them to check if the property index is the same as index to remove. Let's call it index to remove. So it should return true only if property index is different than index to remove. All right, that should be it. We can just skip this part and we can actually just do return here. Right, so now let's see if this will work. I can see that add new property doesn't do anything anymore. Let's see, maybe because this is, we need to put it as an arrow function here. So now let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let's say, that we will have a color and a brand and maybe a size. And here we'll have red and blue, and brand size will be, let's say 14 and 12. But now we want to remove the size. So it worked. Right, so I can remove those properties, and we get an error if we remove the last property. That is weird. So let's fix it. Let's see. We are getting 500 error. Oh, that was strange. Let's just refresh. Add new property. I will add the 3. I will click this one. Okay, so it tries to run categories endpoint post because we are removing properties. That's weird. Remove property. Okay, I think this is because we need to add here on this button that it's type of a button. Otherwise it can try to send this form with our submit function here, save category, and we don't want to do this. Right, but when we click, for example, edit on this one, it should reload those properties as well. So and maybe if we are editing a category, for example Android or something, I will hide this table. So let's see, where do we have this table? This table is here, and if there is an category that we are editing, I think it's called edited category, and I would check that we don't have it, and then parentheses, and here inside I will put our table. So let's grab this table and let's put it here inside. So now we don't have any because we are editing, but we should have also a cancel button here. So let's see here, we have properties. So underneath somewhere here we have save button, but I want to also have a cancel button. in case we are editing a category. So if edited category and then parentheses, another button here, and it will say just cancel, and it will have a class name of button default. Yes, I want to have some spacing between those, so I will put a div with class name flex and gap1, and I'll put both of those buttons here inside. And for this button that is cancel, I will add on click, and we will define this function here. On click, I just want to do set edited category to null. Yes, and this way, if I click cancel, I will also add type of button, just to be sure we will not save this form. If I click cancel, we see everything here. But the inputs are not cleared. So I will actually put this into parentheses, and I'll put it inside new line like this. Let's see, not here. I will put it enter here, and now I will do set edited category to null, set name to empty string, and set parent category to null, or maybe empty string. Yes. So now if I edit iPhones and I click cancel, it clears the form. All right. But now let's see if we can put some properties, right? So let's do test property, and let's put a property with color, and we'll have red and blue and maybe green. All right. What happens if we click save now? Let's scroll to our function that's saving our category. And let's see, we have this save category. But the problem here is that we don't have any properties that we send. So let's send along inside our data properties. And of course, we need to fix so we can handle it inside the API categories. So let's go to API categories. And now let's see. For both post and put, we need to grab categories. Sorry, not categories, properties. And same here, properties. And the properties will be an array of objects, and each object will have a name and values, and both name and values will be strings. So first let's do this for a post. So we will just do properties to be properties, but this way we will have values as string with comma separated. Instead, I would like this values to be chopped to an array. So I can either do this here, or maybe I can send those properties already prepared. I think it would be better to send them prepared. So here I would just do properties. So we are going to save it as they are here. I will add them also to our category model. So let's do here properties. Properties will be type of, let's say, object. This should work. But it should be actually type of an array of objects, right? And I don't know if this array be here, or maybe it should be here. I think it should be here. It should be properties will be an array, and inside each it should be type of object. Let's try it like this. But first, before we will send these properties, we will not send them as they are here, because then each property will be an object of name and the values that are comma separated, and we don't want this. So here for our data, I'll put this into separate lines here, And for properties, we will not send them as they are here from the state. And instead, I will do properties and I will run map function on it. And for each property, I want to return a new object with property name. So let's do name equals property name, but the values, I don't want to just do property values. I want to do property values, and I want to split them using comma, right? So let's see here. Maybe I will put those two into separate lines, so it will be easier to read. And now let's see. I will try to send it. Let's hit inspect here, network. I'll click save here, and let's see, it failed. Let's see the payload. And the payload looks fine. We have properties with name, color, and values, those. But we get an error. So let's see here inside our console here for our server. Category validation failed. Right, let's see what's wrong with our category. Object failed for value, blah, blah, blah. Object ID failed for value, blah, blah. Right, let's see it was a post request. I will close this error here. We have both the name and everything. And the error is cast the object ID failed for value, blah, blah, blah. Type string, path parent. Right, so let's go to our API categories. And it looks like it's failing because our parent category will be an empty string here. So I think we need to fix it for both put and post. And the best way to fix it will be just to check if the parent category is empty string, then we will just return undefined here. Otherwise, we'll just do parent category. Otherwise, parent category. Yes, and this should work, but it can be simplified. So let's say we'll just return here parent to be parent category, or if it's falsy, just undefined. So let's now do the same thing here. Yes, and now let's click save again. I will clear here, save, and looks like it worked. The one thing that didn't work, or we forgot about, is to clear these properties after we save. So let's go to pages categories, and after we save, we are resetting the name, and we should also reset the parent category to empty string, and we should also reset the properties to just empty array. And now it should work. Let's do categories. Let's go to products, back to categories. Let's do test P2, test properties 2 with mobiles as parent. I will put two new properties, property 1, property 2, and value 1, value 2, and here maybe value 2, value 3. Let's try to save it, and looks like it worked. Let's check it inside our database. Database, refresh, and the categories. And let's see, here we have test P2. We have parent, but we don't have any properties. And I think this is because we need to restart our server here. So it will reload the models. So I can delete this one and delete test P2 as well. Yeah, and now let's try again. So we'll do test P, and parent will be, let's say, mobiles. I'll put property 1, property 2, and value 1, value 2, and here value 2, value 3. Let's hit save. Let's refresh our database to see if we have it. And we have properties, and each has the name and values as array. So this worked. Now let's see if we can edit them. If I click edit here, we don't have the properties that we added. So this is because here on the top, we have properties. Let's see what happens when we click the edit button. So we have edit category here. We are setting the edited category to this category, the name, parent category, but we are not setting our properties to category.properties. So let's do this like this. And I will hit refresh here. And let's see if we edit test P. So it looks like it worked. Let's go back to products categories and test P. Looks like it just works. I will maybe add here a comma V4 and comma V5, and I will click save. And now we have a problem. And the problem is split is not a function. So I think that the underlying problem is, let me just refresh. If I click edit here, those are listed here as strings, but the properties that we are setting here are object. This is an array of objects where each object has a name as a string, but the values is not a string. It's just magically converted here. So we want to set it here back to strings, the values here. So I will do here map, and inside this map, I will do that for each property. I want to maybe let's grab the name and values for each property, and we will return an object, a new object for each property, where the name will be the same as name, but the values, I forgot about the S, the values, we want to change the values. And if we are grabbing like this, I need to have another pair of parentheses here. But for values, the values will be an array. So we want to join each element by colon. Right, so now it didn't change anything here, it just still works. But now if we do comma v4, we should be able to save it. Yes, if I edit back, yes, we have this. Let me go to products categories, edit this one. Yeah, everything works. All right, so this works now. And the thing is that after I click cancel, I want to clear the properties as well. So we have this cancel button somewhere here. Here we have the cancel button. I will add set properties to empty array here. Let's go to products, categories, test P, cancel. Yeah, everything works fine now. So now I can remove this test properties category, delete, yes. And now let's maybe add real properties. So let's say that for mobiles, I will click edit here. I will add at least 2 properties. Color will be the first one, and we will have black, red, blue, yellow, and well, that's it for now. And maybe brand. Brand will be, maybe not brand, but maybe we'll have storage. And for storage, storage will be with gigabytes. And for storage, we'll have 62, 128, and 512, and 1 terabyte. Something like this. And let's save it. And let's edit so we can see. Yeah, we still have it. So now when we go to products and we go to iPhone 14 Pro, it's under iPhones category, but the iPhones category, as you can see inside categories, is the child category of mobiles. So I want to do something like this, that when we are on products, iPhone 14, even if it's iPhones category, I want to get the properties from both iPhones and mobiles, because iPhones is the child of mobiles. So let's go to our product form component that we have, and let's see here. We have all the categories here, so we can just loop through them and check if we have any properties inside. And we should just check for the categories that we have selected. All right, so the selected category is here, and it's just an ID. So this should be pretty simple. Let's scroll down to our return, and let's see. Here we have photos. So above the photos we have the select. So between the select we can check if we have categories. So if the categories information is loaded, I would check if categories length is bigger than 0, and we have a selected category, so just category. Then I would do parentheses and I will put a div here, and inside this div we will have properties. But I will here check also if we have inside this category, if we have properties with length bigger than 0 as well here. I'll put some spaces here, and let's see, it should look like this. Now we have a error here, and this is because some categories don't have any properties. So well, maybe we can just get rid of this, because we need to anyway just check both the category and the parent category. So I think I would just skip it here. Right, but now I want to get inside both the category that we selected and the parent category and grab all the properties that we need to fill for this product. So maybe I can prepare it here above the return. So let's say it will be const properties, just properties, and it will be an empty array. And now let's check if we have a category selected, and as you remember, this is just an ID. So then we will find this category inside categories using this category ID. So let's do categories. Let's check also if we have categories, right? Categories length is bigger than 0, and then category, right? And inside this category I want to find the by underscore ID, that underscore ID should be the same as category. So this is category ID that comes from this select, right? So here we are finding the category that is selected. So let's do a const category info, or maybe selected category info, and maybe I can just console log it. Console log selected category info, so we can see that it actually works. And here we have, as you can see, object selected category info, and for now it's iPhones, but if I change it to mobiles, it will change to name mobiles and so on, and the properties inside. But if it's iPhones, we should also check for parent category, or for all categories we should check if we have parent. So let me scroll down here, and we need to check if the selected category, like for now it's iPhones, we need to check if it has a parent. And if it has a parent, we want to find it. So, and for parent, let's see, where I can close properties, and here it's iPhones. I can see the parent, we have mobiles, and we have the ID of the parent. So let's do something like this. For this that we found, selected category, info, iPhones, I can find properties and I can see it's empty. But I can add them here to my array. Properties to fill, let's call it this way. And so let's do properties to fill, and I will add push. And I can push many items here. So let's do ... selected category info dot properties. Yes. And now let's maybe use it. So here under, let's do properties to fill. If it's bigger than 0, then we will just do map on it. Let's do end properties to fill map, and for each property let's call just p parentheses, and for each I want to put a div, and let's for now just do property name. So now we don't see anything because we have properties only on mobiles, color and storage, but we should also, when we select iPhones, we should also get the parent from mobiles. So here underneath, let's check. While we have a selected category info parent ID, let's just maybe add question marks here, then we should add more properties to fill. Let's do properties to fill push, and we should grab the properties from the parent. So let's do const parent, and we can find it by looping through the categories like this, and we can just check that the ID is the same as parent underscore ID. So let's put it here, and now we can push more properties. So let's do push, and push what properties from parent category, let's call it parent cat properties. Yes, and now this can go wrong because it checks while we have a selected parent ID, and we have it all the time. So this is not good. Instead, we should check and maybe rename this to category info and change it to let. And now let's check that here category info, while category info has a parent with ID, then we should find this parent category, and then we should add parent category properties as well. But after we are done with this category info, we should change it to that category info will be actually this parent category. And now let's see. Now I will hit refresh here, and we get an error: selected category info is not defined. Let's see, it should be just category info. Yes, here. And now let's see. If I change to mobiles, we have color and storage, but for iPhones, we get nothing. And this is because I forgot about 3 dots here. Yeah, so now for both the iPhones and the mobiles, we have the same properties, but those properties, color and storage, are registered only on mobiles and not on the iPhones. So if I change to Android, we also have it. but if I change to uncategorized, we don't have any properties on uncategorized. So let's select both iPhones and let me explain how it works. Now, if we select iPhones, we go through this loop and we are checking if we have categories information, if it's length bigger than 0, so we have categories information, all the array of objects of all categories. And this category is the ID. Here we have the string of the ID of the selected category. So this is ID of iPhones. Right, then we go inside here. And then what we are doing, we are finding first the selected category, and we are assigning this to category info. So we are looping through the categories and we try to find the category where underscore ID is the same as our selected. So here we will have an object of information about iPhones category. So name, properties, and so on. Then we are just grabbing all the properties from this selected category, and we are pushing this to properties to fill our array here that we are defining. But this will work only for the properties that I assigned on the selected category and not on the parent categories. And here we have a magic while loop that we are checking. Okay, is selected category here, does it have any parent ID? And if it has a parent ID, then we know that this category has a parent. If we know that this category has a parent, then we are trying to find the information about it the same way we did it here. From categories array, we are assigning it to a parent category, and we are trying to see if it has any properties. If it has, we are adding these properties to our array properties to fill. Right? So this will add properties to fill with parent category properties. But in case, just in case, we are assigning this parent category to category info. And what it does is it runs this while loop again after we are done with our mobiles. The mobiles will become our parent category. We are grabbing properties like color and storage. We are putting them into properties to fill, but then we are assigning this mobiles category to category info, and we are running this while again, and we are checking, do mobiles category have any parent? No, mobiles doesn't have any parent, but just in case there is a deeper parent-child structure, we can check for infinite number of categories. So we can check. We can have like unlimited structure, and we will check for all the parent and the grandparent properties this way. So I guess you understand how it works. But now we are only listing the names and no values or no inputs. So here we are just listing the name. Instead, I will put this as a flex with a small gap of 1. And here we will have the name. And maybe let's put it into this name into a separate div. And I will put an input for both, as you can see, color and storage. So we can put what's the color or what's the storage. But it shouldn't be an input. It should be actually be a select. So we'll put select, and for each select we should have options here, and those options should come from our property values. So let's do property values. Let's do map, and for each value I would just call it v. I would do parentheses here, and I would just print an option with value to be just value, and here we will just put value as well. So now We can select colors and sizes. And but now we need to also have on change here. And for each product, for each property, we should also have this product properties stayed somewhere here at the top. So let's see, we have category, and but we don't have any properties information here. So let's do const, and let's maybe call it product properties, and set product properties, use state, and default will be just an empty object for now. So now we have an error because we have this on change that is empty. But let's say that on change we will have an arrow function, and we will just run a function that will be called change product prop, right? Or maybe set product prop. And we want to just pass the property, maybe just property name, because that's all we need, and the value that we choose here. The value that we choose, we'll grab it from event, and we'll just do here event target value as the second param. I'll put it maybe like this so it will be easier to read. And now we need to create this function where params will be property name and our value that we picked from the select. So let's do maybe here function, and let's do set a product property. The first is prop name, a second will be value. Right, and we want to only update this state. So let's grab this setter function. And well, what do we want to do? Let's grab the previous values in case there is anything. And let's do new product props equals just a copy of previous properties of this product. And then let's just do that new props of prop name will be this new value. And now let's just return new product props. And that's it. So now let's see. We have this select for category. Here we have select for props. But I need to add value on this select as well. And well, let's see. I'll put this here. But this doesn't look that good. I'll put this into new line. And yeah, maybe something like this. It's not perfect, but it works. Here we need to fix the value now because we have an error. And how we can know if we have any value here? We need to go to our product properties, and we need to check this product properties of index of this property name. So let's do property.name, right? So now we should be able to change those properties. Let's see, red, black, yes, it works. And as always, we had with this form, we need to now check when we are updating this product. Let's see, save product. We need to add to the data that we want also to send product properties. Yes. And now we need to go to API products, and we need to make sure that we are saving this. So let's see. Here we have post. We need to grab properties, product properties. Maybe let's rename, let's pass it other way. I will put this like this, and put it into a separate line. And instead of putting this with this name, I will just do properties product properties. So this way I can grab it with just properties. Yes. And the same way we need to do this here for put. But let's focus on the post first. We have product properties here inside properties, and we just want to save it to our model. So let's see if this will work. This way, we will just create a product with these properties. And let's do the same thing here, just colon, and let's put this data here. Now let's edit our product model. So we need to add the properties here. So the properties, and well, what's the properties should be? It should be an array. So let's put an array here, and here an object. And this will not be actually an array. This will be an object. So I will just put type of object, and that's it. Now let's see if we can save this iPhone with selected properties. It's black. Let's say it will be 128 gigabytes. Let's click save. And now I will check my database for products. And iPhone, we don't have any properties, but that's because we need to restart here. So let's see. Now it's restarted. Let's save our iPhone again. So I'll pick, yes, it's black, 128, save. Let's go to data, products, and let's refresh. And the iPhone, we have properties, we have storage 128, but we don't have any color. I think we don't have any color because it didn't change anything here. So let's see, black, save, database, refresh. And inside products, we have our iPhone with properties, but we have now only the color. Okay, it looks like we forgot in our form to grab the old properties. Let's see, product form. Here we are grabbing the old ones. So let's do properties, colon, and let's call them assigned properties. And we want to put them inside our state here, product properties. So let's do assigned properties, or in case it's empty, then we will do just empty object. Right? Now let's click edit here, and let's change this to 128 and maybe this to yellow. Let's save it. If I go back, does it have yellow and 128? Yes, it does. Now I can do refresh, and let's see our product, iPhone 14 Pro, properties, yellow 128. So yes, it worked. So now we have products with properties. So now I can stop recording for a few minutes, and I can add some fake products and put prices, so we can have some more products to display on our store. Right, so now I created more categories: mobiles, iPhone, Samsung, headphones, laptops, Xiaomi, and also more products. So we have like headsets and everything. We have 2 different iPhones, and we have a Xiaomi phone, and we have different laptops, and so on. So we are done with categories and products. But one more thing that we need is actually admin's page. So for now, if I log out, first I don't have any logout button, but I need to have a logout button. And even if I log out, anyone can actually log in and edit the products and so on. So we need to create a page for creating and removing admins. So first, let's start with a logout button. I will go to my navigation component, and let's see, maybe here at the bottom, let's put, I will just copy this settings link, and we don't need any active or inactive link because it will always be inactive. I can just put here as a string inactive like this, and we don't need any link here, ref, and it doesn't need to be a link. I will just change it to button. Let's see, closing tag button, yes. Instead of settings it will be logout. And well, now let's fix the icon. So let's go to hero icons. Let's search for sign out or logout. Yeah, maybe this one. So I will select this SVG and I will paste this one. And now let's see how it looks like. Almost fine, but looks a little bit weird here. Let's see. We have this SVG here, logout. It's inactive, but the content looks a little odd. And I think maybe we can just change this to span. And well, this helped a little bit. Now we have this inactive. Let's see what classes do we have here. It should be flags. Yeah, but it's not next to each other. Let's see why. It's not next to each other because it should be inactive link as class names. So let's fix it. We can probably just put back this to span, and let's do just inactive link. And it should be a variable. So let's put it as a variable like this, inactive link. Now let's see, it's a button and it looks just fine. So when we click on it, let's add on click. We want to run, we want to log out. I think there's a simple function for this, sign out. Yes, so I'm going to import it from nextauth, and I will just use arrow function here to sign out. And yeah, let's see what will happen now if I click on it. I will refresh and click, and well, everything worked. So now I'm not logged in anymore, but even if I log in back with my user, and the problem is I can log in with any Gmail account, and it shouldn't be possible. So we need to have a page for all admins, or we should at least select who can log in or who cannot. So for this, let's go first to our API, auth and nextauth, and let's see here. Here in our configuration, we have providers, we have adapter, but we can also assign callbacks. And the one callback that we are going to use is JW token. And it will be a function. And here inside we will have, we can grab properties or params like token. We will have also account and profile. And the only thing we need to do so it will still work is that we just need to return token, and that's it. Now we can maybe console log everything to see what's inside. So let's do console log and let's print everything. I will open console here. Now let's try to log out, and let's try to log in again. I will log in as my user, and now let's see what do we have here. So now, although they say in the documentation that this function should run every time we assign a token, JWT token, it looks for me that it's not run. So instead I'm going to use a session, which should be run every time a session is checked. So that's perfect for us. We have session here, and we can have also token and user, and we need to just return session to make it work. But let's print everything. Let's maybe print session, token and user to see if this will work now. I will log out and I will log in again with my user. And we are now logged in, and as you can see, we have some console logs here, like for example token is undefined, but that's okay. We have some session with my email, and here we have the user. Maybe we can check something here inside, let's say inside session we can check that the session user has a specific email, and then we can validate the user this way. So let's change this to check if we have session user and this email. So let's do something like this, and we will check that either session user email is my email or user email is my email. But let's start with session user email, and let's see if this will work. I will define admin emails here. Let's do const admin emails, and I will here put an array, and for now it will be only my email. And let's see, here we will do if session user and email, and we want to see if this email is inside this array. So let's check this way. Admin emails includes, if it includes this email inside session user email, then the email is correct and we can do return session. Otherwise, let's say it will just return false. So I guess we will not be logged in, right? And now let's see if this still works. I can log out, and let's see if I can log in. Yes, looks like everything works. Now I will log out, and let's see what happens if I will change this email to Gmail, something like this. Let's log in. Let's try with my user, and we cannot log in. So this doesn't work anymore. I cannot log in. But if I put this back, then everything works. I can still log in and everything works. Now there are a few more things that we need to secure. Let's go to, for example, categories. Here we are connecting to the database, and then we have a get request, post request, and so on. But the problem is here in this handle function, we are not checking if we are a proper admin. We are not checking if the person that we are not even checking that we are logged in. So to fix it, we can maybe just grab a session. So let's do get server session. Yeah, like this. And let's do const session equals await get server session. And let's just do a console log, and let's see what's inside this session. So now if we open a terminal here, let's go to categories, and well, looks like we get a small error here. And we get this error because I forgot that we need to pass some information here, and we need to pass request, I guess, here inside. So let's put request here. So we are going to pass now a request, and we also need to pass a response, and we need to pass the config for our authentication. So all this config, we need to put it first into a constant here. So let's call it maybe of options equals this, and let's export it as well. And now we are going to use it here. So let's do it like this, and now we can use those options even here, of options. Yeah, and it has been imported for me. So now let's see if we have any session here. So if I go back to products categories, yeah, as you can see, we have some information here. We get user, and we get when the session expires. So inside the user, we get the email. So this way we can check inside every function, every handler, that the session has a user with emails that are inside admin emails. But to make this simpler, I will make a separate function, maybe here, and I will do something like this. Let's do export function is admin request. Let's call it this way, and it will take request and response, because we need this from every request, every handler, and it will just grab the session. So let's do const session equals get server session. Here, as always, request, response, and auth options. So let's use it. Here we need to add a wait and async here, async function, and let's see. Then we will have a session, and inside session we need to check that user email is inside admin emails. So let's do if admin emails includes, and now let's do session user email, then everything is correct. But if it doesn't, then let's throw an error. Let's throw an error, not admin. Yeah, something like this. And then we can now reuse is admin request instead of this. So let's do just await is admin request response. All right. And now if I comment this out, let's see if we can call this function to get all the categories. I will open this in new tab. We get JSON, and even if I log out, I can still refresh this page and I can see all the categories, or I can change it to products and it will work for products as well. But let's see what happens if I uncomment this. Await is admin request. If I refresh, I get an error, not admin. Maybe I should change it so it will be not an admin. But yeah, you understand, you will get an error. On the production environment, it will not be, you will not see all this stack like this, but it will just be an error and like 500 and something went wrong, and you will not see this JSON. But if I log in back to my user, I can now refresh here and I can see the JSON. So we should put this protection inside every API handler. So let's see, we have it inside categories. Now we need to put it to products as well, and even for upload. So here for upload, let's see, here we need to first connect to the database. So let's do await mongoose connect, and then we can do await is admin request. And that's should be it for our production. If you want, you can easily add a sub page here for admins, where you can create and delete admins. And when you have admins inside the database, then you can check here inside authentication, next auth. Here, instead of getting an array, you can change this to function like isAdmin, and then you can do a request to the database with all the admins that you put it to the database. Right, but now let's go back to our admin. So we have products, categories, and everything works, and we can even log out and sign in with different user. or at least we can try. But let's see, we have a problem here, and this is because we are trying to get categories even if we are not logged in. So the problem is that actually we shouldn't be on a specific page when we are signing out. Instead, it should take us to a different page, right? Let's see, maybe first inside our layout. Here we have components, layout. Yeah, here we have data. Here we are checking for the session. And if we don't have any session, then it will just say login with Google, a button. But even if we have a session, but the URL is weird, we shouldn't be at this URL. So let's go to our navigation. And instead of calling this just sign out, I will define a function here somewhere at the top. Function, let's call this one logout. And I will use router to push us to different location, to just slash. And then I will call this sign out. And I will add a wait here, and I will make this async function. And now let's try to use this function instead. So I can put it like this, or I can actually just put logout. It should work as well. Let's go to categories, and now let's log out. And now everything works. It redirected us to the start page, because if we go to categories, we will get an error because we are not logged in. That's why we have 500 error. But if we log in with proper account, we can go back to categories and everything works. We can maybe also try to change the 500 error to something else. So let's go back to next auth. As you remember, we have this response here. So let's maybe do response, and let's do status. Let's do status, and let's say this status will be here, because if we are not an admin, then we want to have a status of, let's say, 4.1, and not an admin. And if we are done with the request, it's good to do just response and end, like this. And now let's see if we log out, and if I go to slash categories, we get request failed with code 4.1. That's because we are not logged in. So now we don't even see this message, but that's not a problem. So if someone tries to hack now our admin panel and goes to directly to categories, that person will not see anything. Even here for API request to see the JSON, if I refresh, as you can see, this page is not working, HTTP error 4.1, so you cannot see anything. It just doesn't work. You get 4.1 on categories. So if I go back, I can log in, but you need to have a specific account. So I can log in with this user, but I cannot log in with other users, because this email is defined here. Right, so now our admin panel is secure. So now I guess we can go to our front, and we can try to list all of those products and build something that we can actually create orders, so we can later see them here inside orders. But before we do this, there's one more important thing to do with our e-commerce admin panel, and this is that it should be mobile responsive, so it should look better than this. So for example, here an important part would be to make this site navigation hidden when it's on mobile, with an extra hamburger navigation button somewhere here maybe. So when we click on it, it will show the navigation, and by default it should be hidden, so we should see only the content of the page. So this is what we are going to do now. So we need to add some adjustments for mobile, so we can use this panel comfortably even when on mobile. So I will start by editing our layout to make it look maybe a little better. Instead of this blue, I think I will just make it gray. So let's do gray 200 here for no session, and let's do the same here if we have a session, gray 200. So now it looks like this, but now we can fix our navigation. So let's go to nav.js and let's see here. Here we have text white, that's why it looks a little bit off. I will change it to text gray, let's say 500, and now it should look a little better. Yes, it does. Now for the selected item, let's say it's here, I would like to make this color, text blue 900, a little bit different. I don't want to have this dark blue. Instead, I would like to use another blue, but the blue that I want to use is not inside defined class names here. So I'm going to actually define my own blue color, and for this I will go to Tailwind config.js, and let's see, here I have extend. Right, so I can add my own colors here, and the color I'm going to add will be just, I will call it primary, and it will be this. So it's a pretty blue here. Right, now I will go back to navigation, and let's see, I have this text blue for an active navigation item, and I will change this to just text primary. Now we should have a prettier color. Yes, we do. And now instead of this white background here, I would like to end this background somewhere here, so it will not connect with the rest of the page. So let's see here, we have padding right of 0. I will get rid of this. Yeah, so now it looks a little bit better. Now there is something wrong with this. Those corners here are not rounded. So let's see how we can fix it. Here we have rounded. I think we can just do rounded. Let's change it to small. And I think it looks now better, but I think I will change it to medium. Let's see. Yeah, it's better, but I will change it back to rounded small. Right. And now, instead of this white background here, I want to make it light blue. So let's see, here instead of background white, I will add background, let's do blue, and let's do 800. I think now it will be super dark. Yes, if I change it to just 100, yeah, it's lighter. Let's try with 200. Yeah, it's better, but it's not the blue that I actually want. And I will try to use a custom color for this. So I will go to my Tailwind and config, and we have primary color, and I will add a color called highlight, and it will be this. So now I will try to use my highlight color. Let's see. Here we have background blue. I will change it to background highlight. Yeah, let's see. A little better, but not exactly what I wanted. Let me go back to our Tailwind config. We try to repaste this, and now let's see how it looks. Yeah, I think it looks good, but I want to also change this gray background to something else. Also a custom color. So let's define my background gray, and it will be this. So almost white. Now let's go back to navigation, or maybe better, let's go to our layout to fix our background gray. And I will do background will be background gray, and now the same for color when we have session. Right, now we have something like this. All right, let's go back to our navigation and let's see. It would be probably better to make the text darker, or maybe even black here inside this. So let's see, active link, it's text primary. I will change this to text black. Yeah, but the icon, I would like the icon to be actually blue or primary blue. So let's do this. We have classes for links, but we don't have classes for SVG icons here. Here we have our logo, then we have a link to dashboard, but it would be nice to have also classes for SVG so we can paint them differently depending if they are selected or not. So I will add the constants here, and the first will be inactive icon. It will be just, let's see, the default classes will be those. And then let's do active icon. It will be inactive icon plus, and let's add space here, and let's make it fill primary. Yeah. And now let's try to use those classes for our icons. So the same way we did here for our class names, I will just copy this and I will put it for our class names inside this SVG. But instead of an active link, we will have active icon, and here will be inactive icon. Yeah. So let's see. Here we have now active icon. So this worked. Maybe it shouldn't be fill, but instead should be text. Let's see. Yeah, now only the borders are blue. I think that's much better. Now I will fix the other icons. So let's see, here we have for products, class names for products, class name for icon here, active icon, and here otherwise inactive icon. Yeah, now for the categories class names, let's put it even here. And sorry, I forgot about to copy the C. Now let's paste it here active icon, and here inactive icon. Then we have orders. Let's copy the class names here, and let's put them also here, but we'll do first active icon, then inactive icon. Then we have the last one, I think, settings. So let's copy this and let's paste it here with active icon and inactive icon. Yeah, now we have different icon colors if we selected a page here. So that is good. But there's one more thing I would like to make prettier here, and it would be to use filled icons if we have them. If I search for home, we have outline and we have solid icons. And I think it would be much better to have solid icons here, so I will fix it. So let's just copy JSX for home and let's test it. So here we have products, here we have our home, I guess. So let's paste this SVG, and now for the classes we need to copy and paste them again. So let's do this. Oops, that's too big. Should be active link, should be active icon, and inactive icon. Let's see. Well, I don't know if this matters that much, so I will just put it back as it was. Yeah, the previous icon, I think this one works fine. If you want, you can change it to solid icons, not outline. Right, but now the most important thing will be to put a hamburger button somewhere here on the top, so we can toggle this navigation. But before we do this, let's go to our layout and let's see how it's built. So as you can see here, for our layout where we have our navigation, we have this flex, and here we have our navigation. So our navigation is just a flex item on the left side. So what can we do about this? We can make it maybe hidden if we don't have enough space. So let's open our navigation. Yes, and here, let's see, our main element here, it doesn't have any display property, display class, but I think we can add it. So let's see what happens if we make it fixed, and let's see, now it's fixed to the top left page, top left corner, and as you can see, the other part, the other flex item just takes the rest of the space. So we are making this fixed by default, and let's also pull it left so it will be outside of the screen. So let's see, let's do minus left, and let's see what do we have here. We can do minus 20. Let's do minus left full, and let's see now. Now our navigation is outside of the screen, but if we remove this class, then it's visible. It takes around this amount of space, but for mobiles, that should be our default. We would like to take, so it will take all the width. So let's put it here. I will say it will be width of, let's say it will be width of full. Yes, and let's add some background color. Let's say it will be this background of our default background will be background gray. Yeah, so now it is visible here, but the height should be full. So let's see, height full, and now it takes the whole height. Right, so let's add back that it should be hidden on the left side. So let's do minus left full. So now it's hidden, and we will fix so it will be toggled by a button. Let's go to our layout. I will put it inside layout so it will be on every page. Let's see, here we have our main component for layout. It's flex. Maybe I will add another div here. I put here everything inside, but on the first element I will just put a button, and let's say it will be test for now. Let's see, do we have our test button? Yes, we do. It does nothing. Yeah, that's correct. And this background gray, I think, and this minimum height, we should add it on our most parent div. So let's put it here. And yeah, now it's better. But now for our button here, I would like to style it a little bit. Let's fix the icon of hamburger. Here we have bars 3, and well, let's just copy 3 lines here. And instead of this test, I will put this SVG here. And now it should look a little better. And yes, it does. Now, when I click on this button, I would like to show my navigation. So here we have our navigation element, and here we have our button. Let's say that we want to toggle this navigation. So for this, I will put a state somewhere here at the top. Let's do const, and let's say show nav, and set show nav, and default will be use state here, and default will be false. All right, and Maybe we should rename it so it would be only for mobile. I don't know if it's important, but let's put our on-click action here. When we click our button, I will put arrow function here, and let's see. On click, we want to do set show navigation, and we want to make it to true, so it will be visible. Now we want to use this thing inside our navigation. So let's do show to show navigation, and now we can use this as an attribute here inside. So let's use show. Let's grab our show here, and let's see, here we have some class names for our aside, and I will put those as a string. And now on the beginning I will add here parentheses, and if we have show, then I want to add left to be 0. So let's do left 0. Otherwise, if we don't want to show, I will use this minus left full. And so let's put it here. Yes. Then let's add plus here, so it will be joined together. Let's add space. And now let's see if I click on it. Yeah, it kind of works. So I wanted this navigation to start from the top, so it should even hide this. Button that we created. So let's just do top, and let's do 0. Yeah, and now we can click categories, we can click products, and now this kind of works, right? But to make it a little prettier, I would like this to be hidden when it's desktop. So to make it work, we will add the classes here for desktop. I will start by doing medium, and in case it's a medium screen, I want this to be not fixed, but let's say static. The position should be static, and now let's see. Yeah, as you can see, now it's static, and it looks much better, but the width of this is too big, and this is because we have this width full. And let's change it for medium screens. Let's do this width of auto. So now it's much better. So it's this big for medium screens, and for mobiles it's full width. So this works. If I click products, we are on products, and I can open navigation. I can, orders is not ready. I can go to dashboard and stuff like this. Would be maybe better to add some transition. So let's do this. Let's add transition, and let's see now. This didn't help because it shouldn't be only transition. It should be, let's do transition all. And now let's see if I click on this. As you can see, our navigation just slides in from the left to the right, and that is much better. And if I click dashboard, it will go to dashboard. If I click products, it will go to products. Yeah, but now this navigation button here, it shouldn't be visible for medium screens. So let's go back to our layout, because if I have a screen this big, our navigation is visible, so I don't need this button. So we have this button here. I will put it into separate div, and this button, let's cut it from here and let's put it here inside. And for this div, I want to make it a display block, but for medium screens, I want it to hide it. So let's do hidden, and let's see now. Yeah, I think that's much better. If I have screen that is this small, I can see the button. But I think it looks weird with just a button here, and we should have at least our logo that we have here also with the button. So I'm going to copy from the navigation, our logo. Let's see where it is. It's inside navigation. Here we have our link with our logo. So I will copy this and I will create a separate component inside components. So let's do new file here and let's just do logo.js like this. And I will just do export default function. Let's do logo and let's do return here, and it will be just this link, right? And let's see, the link has been imported for us. So now we can use our logo here instead of this link. So let's just do logo. Yeah, and let's see, it has been imported for us and this works. But I want to put the logo here as well. So let's go to our layout. And next to our button, let's put our logo. Yeah, so now we have logo and the button. And for this div, let's make it flex. So the logo will be next to our button. And now I would like our logo to be on the middle. So let's see. First, I wanted to make it items center. So it will be aligned. I hope it will be aligned, but it's not. Let's see why. Here we have our link. Here we have our button. And well, let's see. There's something inside the button that makes it go to the middle. I think it's our logo link. It has a margin bottom of 4 and margin right of 4. We should go and remove it. And it should be only inside the navigation. So let's remove it from here. Margin bottom 4 and margin right 4. And let's put it only inside our navigation. Let's see, here we have our logo. Let's put a div with class names that we just removed. And this logo should be inside. Yeah, let's see if this looks fine. Yes, it does. So now we can put our logo in the middle here. So let's go back to our layout and let's see, we have item center. Let's add justify center. So now everything is in the middle. That's not what I wanted. So I will remove it. And instead I will put my logo inside a separate div. So let's put logo inside this separate div. And now for this div, I will make it flex as well, and I will make it grow. So now this div that our logo sits inside should take all the width. Yes, it does. And now let's make it justify center. So now it is on the middle, but it is on the middle of our div, not in the middle of screen. So to fix it, I will add a small margin from the right. So the margin right of, let's try with 8. Yeah, let's see if the margin is around the same as the button size. Yeah, maybe we can make it a little smaller. Let's do 6. And now I think it works fine. So if I make it this small, it works. Yes, it's fine, but it would be maybe better to add some padding from the top and from the sides. So for our for this div here, let's add some padding of, let's say 4. Yeah, so we have some spacing, so it will look better. Let's see. Yeah, I think it looks just fine. And if I make it this big, then it disappears. Yeah, so I think it looks fine. Our navigation now works. I can toggle it and I can go to products. I can go back to the dashboard. Everything works. But now I would like to fix this page content. So for example, for our products, it looks like this. For mobile, it will look like this. And it just sits inside this white div. I don't know if you can see, but we have a white container that grabs everything here. And now with this gray background, it doesn't look that good anymore. And this blue button is not that pretty anymore. So I will go to our global CSS. Here we have some basic classes that we can reuse. So for example, for this button, we have button primary, and this is because we created this class because we don't want to copy paste all those classes for every primary button. But this way I can now reuse my, for example, background primary here to make this button a little prettier. Let's see, background primary. Let's see if I refresh. I'm not sure if this worked. Let's maybe go to our products page. Let's see, page, products, and let's search for our button. Here we have, instead of those classes, we should actually use button primary. So I will get rid of those classes and I will just do button primary. And now I think this button looks much better than those, for example. So now we are going to fix also this, maybe this white box, so we can get rid of it. Let's go to our layout.js and let's see. Our content sits inside this div with this white background, so let's remove it. And let's see, we have margin top 2, margin right, margin bottom. Let's get rid of it. It's rounded, it doesn't need to be rounded. Let's just leave the padding. Right, so now our content sits in the same gray background that we have our site navigation. And I think that's fine. We can just make our buttons prettier. So let's go back to our globals and let's see, we have rounded medium. Let's change it to small, yeah. And now let's maybe make our tables a little bit prettier, right? So we have this table basic that we were using to style all those basic tables for categories and products. And again, to not reuse all those classes to all the tables, to both of those tables, I'm going to just apply new styling for the headers and the cells and to make those this table a little bit prettier. So first I want to get rid of this light blue. So let's see, here we have this light blue. I think I will just remove it, and instead I want the header texts to be smaller. So I will put text SM to make the text smaller. Yes, it is, and I want to make it gray. So let's do text gray, and let's do maybe 400. That's too light. Let's do 600 so we can see something. Yeah, I think that's better. And maybe the labels here should be uppercase. So let's see, uppercase. Yeah, we have this class here. Yeah, this is much better. And now would be nice to fix this blue border that we have everywhere. So let's see, here we have this border blue. I will just get rid of it. So we have something like this now. And the only border I want is from those labels to our, from the labels to our body. So here we have it for table head. I will add border bottom, border B, and let's make it light gray. So it's the border, and the color of the border will be gray. Let's say maybe 300. Yeah, so we have this line here. Maybe we can do border gray 200. Yeah, I think this will work great. Now for the whole table, the background here is white-ish gray, but it's gray. So for the table, I will make background of white, background white. Let's see. I don't see any difference. Should be not here, background white. It should go to our table, sorry. Yeah, now I see a small difference. But I will also add the rounded SM here to make rounded corners a little bit. And now I would like to add a small shadow. So let's do a shadow, small. Yeah, so it will be easier to distinct the table from the rest. Maybe we can do medium so it will be more visible. Yeah, I think this will work fine. Right, so now we can maybe add some more spacing inside the cells here. So for the header cells, we don't have any spacing at all. So I will add spacing padding on the sides to, let's say, 2 maybe. Yeah, so we have some small spacing here. Maybe we can do more, let's do 4. Yeah, and now let's try with the same spacing, side spacing for the cells. So let's do this. Now let's add some spacing from the top and the bottom. So let's maybe do padding top and the bottom to 2. And let's do the same for the cells inside the body. So now we have something like this, and that's too much spacing here between, so I will change it back to 1, and I think that looks really nice. Yeah, so now the only problem is those buttons inside don't look like our button primary. So let's go to our products, and here we have our table, and we have some links here. And I think they are styled because we have this global styling here, and we have links inside the table. Let's see here, table basic, A, and we have all those classes here. Maybe let's see if we can reuse our button primary here. Let's see, reuse, apply button primary, and well, kind of worked almost. Let's see if we are missing something. It should be inline flex, and other than this, I think it should work. Maybe let's remove all of the classes, and let's just add them one by one to see what is broken. So this looks odd. I think this is because we need this flex, inline flex. So let's put this back, button primary, and now let's do inline flex. Let's see. Yeah, now it's better. Let's add margin on the sides, margin X of 1. So we'll have some spacing. And yeah, it looks much better. Let's also add items center, so the icon will be on the same level as the text. Yes, and now a small gap between the text and the icon, gap 1. Yeah, now I think it looks much better. So if I click edit here on the product, we can see this, and that is fine. I think that those buttons shouldn't be blue, so I will change the background color for those. So let's change here. I will do a background of, let's say, gray, and let's see, I will do gray 700, and this didn't change the background color. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we still get the background primary. So instead of doing this button primary, I would just copy the classes that I need to have here, and let's paste them here. And now they are gray, and I think they look better when they are gray. So let's try with categories. Here we have some buttons as well. Well, maybe we can remove the padding from the top and the bottom to make them a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think now they look much better. Maybe we can just make the text inside them smaller. So let's do text SM, and let's add some padding from the top and the bottom back. Yeah, and I think it looks fine. If I zoom out, it looks like this. So I would say it works fine. I will zoom in again, so it will be so you can guys see. Yeah, I think it looks fine. Our table for now. Now it would be nice to fix this those forms and the inputs so they don't look that ugly. And to fix this, we have some basic classes here as well, basic styling for inputs. Let's see, we have here border of 2. Let's change it to border of just border. So it will be a thin border here. And we don't want to make it rounded medium. I think we can be okay with rounded small. And this gray is too dark for the border. So I think I would just do 200. Yeah. And now I would like to add some spacing here inside. We don't have any spacing padding. So I will do just padding on the top and the bottom of, maybe just let's do padding everywhere too. So let's see. Yeah. But I think it looks just fine for the selects, but for the inputs, I would like to add more spacing from the left and the right. So padding from the top and the bottom will be 2, padding on the sides will be 4. So let's see now. Yeah, I think now it looks fine. Maybe it could be smaller, like 3. Yeah, I think now it's right. Maybe we can add a little bit of shadow here. So let's do apply and let's do shadow medium. And well, that's a lot of shadow. I guess it's the same amount of shadow we get on our table. Yes, it is. I would change it to small. Let's see. Well, I don't think we need the shadow on the inputs. The borders is just enough. Well, but now I think we should have this title to look a little bit better. So let's see if we have any basic styling for this. No, we don't. So let's go to our products and let's find this. We have this table here. We have this button, but that is for add new product button and not for our form. For our form, we need to go inside product form and let's see here. Here inside render, we have this form here. Then we have photos. Where do we have edit product? Let's scroll here, product name, form, category. I don't see the edit product. So let's go back to products.js. Or sorry, we have products here, then we have edit, and then we have this file here. And then we have edit product, H1. So let's see if we have any basic styling for H1. Do we have here? No, here we have it. It's text blue. Maybe let's change it from blue to dark gray, gray 800. And now let's see. Yes. Maybe we can add more margin bottom. So we have more spacing here. Yeah, I think it looks fine. Now for those labels, I would like to change them as well. So let's see, here we have labels, text blue 900. I want to make them gray 800. And I want them to be smaller, so let's do text SM. Yeah, I think that is much better. Maybe I will make them lighter, so let's do 600, not the H1 on the label. Let's do 600, so it will be lighter. Yeah, I think that's all right. Now, I would also like to fix the spacing here because it looks weird. And we have color and we have this, storage and we have this, and this is our properties that we have inside product form. So let's scroll down here to our properties. Here we have properties to fill, and we have flex with gap 1. And so we have text on the left, and this is this div. And then we have select, which is the right part. I think we should put select into separate div. So I will take this select and I will put it here. And this will just make our selects smaller. But now, maybe instead of having text on the left and select on the right, we can make it the same way we have with category and stuff. So let's remove this flex and gap. And let's see. Now it looks better, but those texts should be actually labels. So let's do label on this. And now let's see if it looks better. Yes, I think it does. But for the name here, I would like to be this with the first letter capitalized, or the first letter should be uppercase. So let's see. Instead of printing the name, I will print just the first letter like this, index of 0, and then I will make it to uppercase. Let's see. Yes, we have C and S, and now I will add a plus, so I will join strings. I will do take the name, and I will take the substring of the name. It will start from 1. Let's see, and we have the full name with first uppercase. So this did the trick. First, we are just grabbing the first letter, and we are doing to uppercase. Then we are adding the name again, but as a substring starting from the second character, so index of 1. Right, now I think our form looks much better. Let's see for mobiles. For mobile devices, it looks like this. I think it looks fine. One more thing I would like to fix here is this upload button. So let's scroll down to photos. Here we have photos. Here we have our label for upload button. I would like to change the color on it to white and add some shadow or something like this. So let's see. Background, I would like to be white. And let's add some shadow of medium. Why not? Yes, and maybe a small border. So let's do border, and border color of gray 400. Something like this. Maybe it's too dark. Let's do 200. Yeah, I think now it looks much better. Maybe the shadow is too big, so I will actually change it to shadow small. And yeah, so now it looks more like a button. But now for the photos, we have those images here. I would like to add some background or something to them and some spacing. So let's add the background of white. Let's see. I don't see any big difference, but if I add a padding of, let's say, 4, now we should see some difference. Yes, we do. And let's add also a small shadow. So let's do shadow SM, so small shadow. Yeah, and let's do rounded SM as well, rounded corners of small. Yeah, and let's add a small border. So let's do border and gray 200. Yeah, now I think they look better. And the only thing is that I want to rounded corners here on this button, make them smaller. So let's do rounded LG. Let's do rounded small. And yeah, and I think it looks better. Maybe the text here can be blue. So let's try this with our primary color. Here we have item center, text center. We have text gray 500. Let's do text primary. So it looks like this. Maybe even the border can be primary. Let's try border. That's the border primary. And it looks now like this. Well, I think it looks just fine. Maybe instead of upload, it should say add more photos, add more images, or maybe just add image. Yeah, so we have add image, and well, it's flex, but it doesn't need to be flex, or maybe let's put it flex, but let's do flex row, not flex column, and let's remove this flex. Yeah, so we have it like this. Should be column, I think. Should be just flex and flex col. Yeah, now it's better. So we have this add image with upload icon. I think it looks fine. And we have photos and we have save button. And I think everything here looks just fine. Now the next thing is I would like to fix this styling on this page. For example, this add new property, and it's inside our categories page, not inside API, but inside here. Right, and now let's see. Here we have some button that has a class name button default. So let's go to globals, and let's see. Here somewhere we have our button primary classes, and I want to apply the same for our button default, but the background should be gray 800, let's say. So now it looks like this. Maybe it's too dark, so I will do 600. Yeah, I think now it looks better. And so we can add properties and we can remove them, and this looks fine. But maybe it would be better for delete and remove buttons to make them kind of red. So let's do, we have button red class names here. So let's put the same classes on those, but instead of button red, instead of background gray, let's do background red. Let's do maybe 300. Yes, and now let's see where we have them. I would just search for this, and looks like we have it on where we want to delete a product. So let's see if I want to delete our iPhone. We have this red button here. One small thing I would like to fix here is to make it brighter red, but the text should be dark red. So let's do red 800. So now we have something like this. Maybe that's too dark. Let's do 600. Yeah, I think this will work. Maybe let's try with red 300 here. No, 200 works just fine. Would be nice probably to have the same styling for delete buttons here. So let's go, for example, to our products or categories. So let's go back to, let's see here, categories. Here we have button remove, and we have button default here. And let's change it to button red, and same on the, not on the save, but inside the table. Let's see, here we have a button for edit category. Let's change this to, here we have delete. Let's do button red. So we have something like this. And on the edit, let's maybe do button default. So it will be this dark gray. Let's see here now for products. I will open our products page here as well. Here we have some table rows, and here we have some links. So I will add class name on those links to be here first button default, and here let's add class name of button red. This didn't change much because inside our globals we have this definition for all the links inside the table basic. I think we can just remove some of those classes, like for text color and background color, and to see if this will help. Yes, it does. So now the colors work. It didn't work because here we have more specific definition. but that's all right. I think now our admin panel looks really nicely. The last thing I would like to fix would be default buttons. I would like to make them more, not that dark. So let's scroll to our button default. Maybe instead of this gray 600, maybe we can make them white. So let's do background white, and text should be, well, it should be gray, let's say 800. Now let's see how they look like. I think they look fine, but we need to add some border, and the border should have color of gray, let's say at least 600. Maybe that's too dark. Let's do 400. Still too dark. Let's do 200. I think this will work fine, but the color can be lighter. Let's do 600. Text gray 600. Maybe let's put back 800. I think it works just fine. But for default buttons, maybe we can add some small shadow. So let's do shadow small. So they will look a little bit better. And maybe for even for the red button and for the primary, let's add shadow of small. So it will be more visible that those are clickable buttons. Same for the primary. Let's do primary button, shadow small. Yeah, and now I think we are done. So let's see, products, looks fine. We can edit products here, looks fine. Let's go to categories. We have edit and delete buttons here. And let's edit to edit category. We can add new property, and everything looks fine. Here everything works. We have cancel. Yeah, I think now everything looks fine, and it's even responsive. So if I make it this small, we can toggle here and we can change pages. So yeah, now everything looks fine. Let's see, even for products, we can edit products and the form looks fine. Let's see, for categories, we can edit categories. Yeah, and everything looks fine. So now I guess we can continue to build our front part, our main e-commerce part, where we can display our products and where we can order products when our customers can order products. So later we can see our orders here inside orders page that we will create. So now let's do this. All right, so now we are going to build the front part of our store. And as you can see, this will be a separate project. So for now, inside my IDE, I have another empty directory, and this project will be called e-commerce front for me. And here we had this e-commerce admin. So this will be two separate projects. Well, it will be one project, but it will be two different apps. The one will be for admin panel and another one will be for our front part, where we will show the front of our e-commerce store. And in the front part, I'm going to use style components. In the admin part, we were doing this with Tailwind CSS, but on front we can use style components so you guys can learn how to use it. There are many big companies that are using this: Spotify, Wish, Reddit, Tinder, Giphy, Vimeo, BBC News, EMDB, and so on. So it's really popular library for styling components. And here as well we are going to use Next.js for our e-commerce front. So this is what we are going to start with. We are going to install a new Next.js app here. So let's do yarn create and here next app and the dot. So it will be installed in the current directory here in my terminal, and now it's installing. And also we are going to, of course, use the same database where we have all of our products, categories, and so on. So we can display them in our e-commerce front. So e-commerce front and e-commerce admin those two projects will have the same database. And here, let's see, TypeScript, no, not this time. ESLint, yes, why not? Source directory, no, we don't need this. And experimental app directory, no experiments for me. And that will be it. Okay, now it's installed. So let's do just yarn dev. And we get this link that we can use to see some preview. So let's open it here. Yeah, and it looks fine. So now I will go to pages. Let's go to index.js. And I will just remove everything from here. I would just, let's remove everything. And I would just export default function and let's just do home page. And that's it. Let's just return inside a div with test inside, and we have test here. And same with styling. I will remove all the globals and everything from this home module that we don't need anymore. All right, now let's see. Let's go back to our index.js, to our home page. And let's see. Well, the first thing we are going to start with will be some kind of header, right? Because we need to have a logo and navigation, and here maybe a cart button so we can see selected products and so on. So let's start with this. I'll create a separate directory for our components. Let's do components like this. And well, the first thing will be our header. So let's do header.js. And inside, let's just do export default function header. And well, it will return a header HTML element. Yes. And well, what do we need inside header? We need a logo. So let's put a link, and it has been imported for me here. If it doesn't do it automatically for you, you need to add this line. We have a link, and the link will be just to our home page, so just slash. And now let's see. What should be the name of our store? Let's say just e-commerce. E-commerce, yes. And okay, we have a link inside our header. What else do we need? We need some kind of navigation. And inside navigation, let's say we will have a link. Sorry, it should be a link with that will be to home. We want a link to have to all products. And we want to have a link to maybe categories. And well, we want also to have a link to register login, or maybe account. Let's just call it account. And then the last item we need will be a shopping cart. So let's put it for now. For now, let's put it here as the link. And let's put cart, and let's put 0 inside. Yeah, so now we need to have add some kind of links here. So for home, it will be just slash. For all products, it will be just, let's say, slash products. For categories, well, it will be just categories. And for account, well, let's say it will be slash account for now. And for cart, it will be just cart. Yes. And we have our header here. So now let's use it inside our homepage. Let's put it maybe here. Header. It has been imported. Yeah, it's really ugly. But now we can use our style component that we planned to use to style it a little bit. Right, so I will open terminal and I'll put a new tab here. And here I will just do yarn add, and let's do style components. All right, now style components is installed. So let's create a first style component. Maybe instead of doing this header, we can create a style header. So let's do const styled header equals, and now to use style commands, we will just do styled. Yes, let's import styled, and here let's do header, and then we do backticks, here a semicolon, and inside backticks we will just put all of our CSS. So I want our header to be dark, so I will do background color, and let's do 222. Yeah, and now as you can see, nothing has changed because styled header is not used, so let's use it here instead of header. So now as you can see, we have some dark color here, but you can directly see that we have a small problem here, and the problem is with this white padding here that we get from our body. So we need to have some kind of global styles, but instead of using those globals here, I'm going to actually delete those two files. Let's delete them. Delete anyway. We get an error because this file is still used inside here. Not here, not inside index.js, it's inside here. Here we have our global CSS that is used. So I'm going to remove it. Let's remove it, and now we have only our app. But now to create global styles, I will go to here inside my app, and I will create global styles. So let's do just const global styles. Let's call it this way, and let's just use create global style, and as you can see, it has been imported for me from style components. And here let's just do backticks the same way, and here inside for our CSS we can use selectors. So I'm going to use body, and here I'm going to do just padding 0. Yeah, and now let's use our global styles. So here we have our app, but I will cut this thing. I'll put parentheses here, I'll put it back, and this thing I will put inside React fragment. So this empty tag here, I will put this thing inside, and here I will put also our global styles, but I will call it with capital G, and let's do global styles. And now let's see if I refresh. Now we've changed. Let's also remove margin. Yeah, and now we don't have any white spacing here, so global styles worked. All right, so now let's go back to our header.js, and let's see what's the next part we need to fix. I guess we need to have some kind of prettier logo here, and we need to have a better font. So I think for this, for the font, we can use Google Fonts. So let's go fonts Google, and fonts, and now let's see. Let's maybe take Roboto, why not? And I'm going to use regular, and well, let's just grab the regular for now. And I will use import, and I'm going to just copy this style part, and let's see, let's go to our defaults inside the app.js, and well, I'm going to put my import here, and inside body I will just do font family, or maybe I can just copy this part and I can put it here inside my body to use this Roboto font. So now let's see, yeah, the font looks much better. Let's go back to our header.js, and let's see. The next thing is actually the logo. We want to make it, let's say, white, and we want to style this link. But link is not a regular HTML element, it's a component. So to fix styling for this, let's call it maybe logo, and let's do equals, and it will be styled here parentheses, and we'll put a link here, and then backticks. And here inside, let's put color white, FFF. And now let's see if this will work. Instead of this link, we'll put logo. And let's see here, yeah, it's white. So now we can add like text decoration to be none. And yeah, it worked. For our header, let's maybe add some spacing, right? So let's put padding, and well, I would like this to be centered. So if it's this wide, it should be centered. It should start maybe here and end somewhere here. So we need a component that will just center everything. And I think I will put it as a separate component. So here inside components, I will do a new file, and this will be called, let's call it center.js. And here, as always, export default function center, and it will return, just a regular HTML element. It will be a div, and inside we want to put all the children, and we want to grab them from the properties. Let's do children, and let's display them. Right, but now we want to have we want to style this div. So the easiest way would be just to do const styled, and let's call it styled div equals, and here styled. Let's import this dot div backticks, and here inside backticks, let's just do let's say max width will be, let's say 800 pixels for now, and let's add maybe some margin on the sides. So let's do margin and 0 on the top and the bottom, and maybe 20 on the pixels on the sides. And now let's use our style div here. So let's do styled div, yes. And inside our header, let's just use our styled div, or sorry, our centerer. So here inside, let's put center, yes, and not like this, because we want to put everything inside our navigation, logo, and so on. I will reformat this a little better. Now let's see. As you can see, now we don't have our background anymore. So that's weird. Let's see here inside how it looks like. We have our header. It looks like header doesn't have any color. That's weird. So we get this small error that after we refresh, we don't have this CSS from those generated classes. We don't have any CSS styles that we created here. So to fix it, we need to go to next config, and here we just need to add the compiler options. So let's do compiler colon, and let's put an object here, and inside this object we'll just need to add style components to true. And that's basically it. And now, as you can see, it works. If I refresh, well, it still doesn't work, but that's because I need to restart my environment here. So let's do just yarn dev again. And now let's see. Now if I refresh, everything works, and if I keep refreshing, it still works. So now let's go back to our header CSS, header.js, and let's continue with our header. As you can see, now this looks better now. It is centered. Well, it looks like it's centered. It has this max width of 800 pixels. Well, but it's not fully centered. It has this margin 20 on the sides, and instead we want to do margin auto on the sides. So let's do margin here auto, and now let's see. Now it looks like this. If I make it wider, then it is centered. So you can see that this div here inside is centered. Yeah, so this works now. But if I make it smaller, well, maybe let's add some padding on the sides. So let's do 0, 20 pixels. So we will have 20 pixels padding inside our center component here, center. And well, as you can see, now we have this 20 pixels here on the sides, just to have like a small spacing on the sides. Right, and it will be mostly for mobiles. Right, now we have our e-commerce here. Let's go back to header.js. So we have a logo, and then we have our navigation. But now I would like this navigation to be next to our logo. And how can I do this? Well, we can put those two things inside another component. So let's create it maybe here. I will just call it wrapper, and let's just do const, sorry, not const, just styled div, backticks, and here inside I will just put display to be flex. And now let's use our wrapper, and here inside let's put our logo and navigation, and it should be next to each other. Yes, it is. Now I will just put justify content. Let's do maybe a space between. Yeah, so now we have e-commerce logo on the left side and the links on the right side. So that's good. We have styled our logo link here, and well, it looks like it worked. So let's see now. Now we need to add some styling on those links. But before we do this, let's add some more padding to our to the bottom and the top of our wrapper. So we have some spacing here. So let's do padding, and well, let's add 30 pixels on the top and the bottom and 0 on the sides. Yeah, I think that's better. Maybe 20 will be enough. Yeah, and now let's style our navigation links. So we can call it styled link, or we can call it just navigation link. So let's call it navigation link. It will be simpler, and it will be a styled link. Backticks, and now here inside let's just do color white, or maybe let's do color grayish. So let's do AAA. It will be gray. And now instead of all those links, I will put nav link. Yes, and now as you can see, those are gray. Let's add let's remove text decoration to none. Yeah, and now I would like to add some spacing between those links, and for this I will style this navigation. So let's do a const, and let's just call it styled nav. Every time I don't know how to call an element, I will just add the styled and then the name of the HTML element. So let's do styled dot nav and backticks, and let's see. Now instead of this HTML element now, we can do styled nav. Yes, and here now let's do display of type flex. And now let's also add a small gap of, let's say 5 pixels. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Let's do 10. Yeah, I think 10 is much better, but I don't know if it's enough. Let's do 15. Yeah, that's much better. And if I zoom out, it looks like this in 100% zoom, but I will zoom in so you guys can see this better. Right, so what should we have here underneath on the rest of our homepage? Well, I think that first I want to show like a featured product, let's say a MacBook Pro with some text here, and then underneath I will show the latest products. This will be on the homepage, and then we will fix the rest of the pages. So here, one featured product, and then underneath a list of latest products or new arrivals, something like this. So let's go back to our index.js, and we have only header here on our homepage. So the next component will be just a featured product. So let's do new file, and let's do featured.js, export default function. So it should be default function featured, and it will just return, let's say for now it will be a div, but here inside our div, well, inside this I want to have a header like h1, and it will say, well, I will take the same title that they are using, let's say Pro Anywhere, something like this, and well, then let's maybe add underneath a description of the product. So for now I'll just put lorem ipsum, but we will load the description for this product, and well, let's see. I want to have this featured product here, so let's maybe start displaying this inside our index.js. Let's just use featured, yes. So we have this Pro Anywhere. Well, I want to make this centered as well. So let's, inside this div, let's put center, yes, and let's put this inside. So now it's centered. Well, I would like to have dark background even on this featured product. So instead of this div, I will put, I will define background. So let's do bg equals, it will be styled div, but we need to import styled components. So the styled, let's import from styled components dot div backticks. Inside here, let's put maybe, let's put it background color. Let's do the same as the header 222, and let's use our background instead of this div background, and well, now it worked. Right, so now we probably need to fix this header, right? So instead of this h1, let's put, let's call it title. So let's do title, title equals styled h1. And well, inside here, I want to get rid of the margins, and I will do font wave of normal. And now let's use this title here, title. Let's see, yeah, it looks better. But inside this background, I will also add that all text colors inside should be white. Yeah, I think that's much better. And I want to add some padding on the top and the bottom. So on the top and the bottom, I will add 50 pixels and 0 on the sides. Yeah, so we have some spacing. Let's see, let's zoom out. Yeah, I think it looks fine. But for this paragraph, for the description, I will type desk as description. Let's do styled p. And I want this to be a gray color. So let's do color, and let's do AAA. And here instead of this P, let's do desk for description. Yeah, so now it's grayish. And I want this to be smaller. So let's do font size, and let's do 0.8 rem. So it will be 20% smaller. Yeah, I think this will work. Now I would like to have an image on the right side. And I think, as always, I will use some kind of wrapper here. So let's define it here, const wrapper, or maybe let's call it columns. Now let's do wrapper, and it will be styled div. And let's put here inside, it will be display of type, let's do grid this time. Let's do grid, and inside let's do grid template columns. And let's just do 1FR, so we'll have 2 columns of the same size. And here let's do now just wrapper. And inside wrapper we'll have 2 columns, so let's put 2 divs. On the left side we'll have this title and description, so let's put it inside the first div. and on the second we will put an image here that we don't have yet, but well, let's see how it looks like. I think it looks just fine. Maybe we can add some spacing here, more spacing. So I will put actually here some gap of, well, at least 40 pixels, just in case. And now on the right side, I would like to have an MacBook image. I think for now I would just copy paste an image URL that we have for here inside our admin. I will just take this one, copy image address, and well, let's go here and let's put an image here. Source will be this, and well, it's almost okay. So to fix it, we need to put the width and height of this image, so we can make a styled version of this, or for our wrapper, we can do something like this. And we can do that all images here inside our wrapper should have max width of 100%. And as you can see, this worked. Well, the only problem is that we have this white background on this MacBook, but I have also other image that we can use. So I will go to our here admin panel. I will upload another image. I have this MacBook Pro without any background color, so I'm going to upload it. Now it's uploaded. I will copy the image address here and I will save it so we'll have it for later. Now let's go back to our front, and here instead of this URL, I'll put this new one. And well, now I think it's it looks much better. Maybe we could make this image a little bigger. So let's see, let's remove part of this description so we can make it smaller. And now let's go back to our columns. Let's see, we have two columns of the same size. Let's instead do that. The first will be 0.1 FR and the second will be 1.2 FR. So it will be bigger. Yeah. But now inside our columns, let's say inside our columns, I would like to make this text here centered. So let's see, we can make it here. Let's say that for divs that we have inside wrapper, all the divs should have align items center. Well, this didn't help because we would need to have a flex here as well. So I will